Okay, very simple question. Because both of you have been working on preparing as advisors. So, what can you tell me about your experience in looking at your own autonomy in that process of, preparing to be a better tutor and an advisor? How has it helped in any way, or what has happened when you consider your own autonomy in preparing for, advising students? What can you say about that?
Wow, that's a good question.
Well, let me try to answer. In my case, I think it's a paradox that I consider myself a very autonomous learner. I've always considered myself like I'm good at learning by myself. I'm very independent. I look for resources. So I think I've always been autonomous when in school. But as a teacher, I realized that I was the opposite. I wanted to have everything in control. Everything, every single decision in the classroom I wanted to make. What students read, what students listen, what students do. And although I know that the course we are taking is not exactly to make changes in the classroom, I've become more aware of the importance of giving students more freedom to shine more. So I think I've become more aware of the role of autonomy in students' lives and in my own life. And now, little by little in my classes, I'm incorporating more, I involve students more in decision making, like what movie do you want to see, which TED Talk do you want to discuss. And well, it's still a process. I think it's very difficult. Here at the lab, for example, I try to remember when I'm with a student that it's his or her thoughts that matter, not mine. And for example, today when I had the conversation club, I used to suggest the topics and ask the questions. And today it was difficult, but I did what you suggested. I hold my hands and I was like, okay, so who chooses the next topic? And it's like, and I see the reactions. It's a positive reaction. Students, they charge. And
If you let them.
But it's been hard. I'm not going to lie. It's a process, and well, that's my case.
Yeah, I think I have, I along the same lines. When I was in college, I was more. I was not an autonomous student because I felt that I was more like old school, that where I needed to be told what to do and things like that. But then ever since I started, after I graduated from university, I started with all these things, with the technology. I remember the search engines, for example, for me was like opening a Pandora's box, and so I started using like, Yahoo and Google to, search for things and, stuff like that. So I became more autonomous. And then Enrique and I took the same master's degree 100% online. We are same generation, same everything, right?
And we never met.
We never met before, obviously, because I was 100% online until we started working here, and then we realized that it was him, it was me. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is that right there, I became more autonomous. And same thing, like for example, I remember taking French and going to the French Alliance, or even here, I took French here for one semester. And I would just, on my own, watch YouTube videos. I actually subscribed to some teachers on YouTube, and I would, look for stuff online and everything. So I would it was more on my own, basically, But at the same time, with my students, I have that, I have like a predicament because, for example, I was thinking over the summer, I got my evaluation for my students, and I was sort of like trying to let go. And then some of the comments were that they felt that at some point, like I let them, you know,
Too free.
maybe
you
they
abandoned
felt,
them?
maybe they felt that, and now I'm all paranoid, telling them, please don't feel like you're all left out in the dark. And but I just, they told me that, for example, one concrete thing was one suggestion was that they needed like more extra help, because I would tell them, please study the unit in the book, especially the grammar part and the vocabulary part, and I would try to guide them, But then now I got comments, not a lot of comments, but I got 2 comments actually, that some students felt that way. So I just became so paranoid about, because I don't want them to feel that they were neglected,
Right. Yeah.
And as you mentioned, it's a mindset, it's something that, at least for me, and I know you mentioned that too, that I'm becoming more aware and more self-conscious about those things, because I have that tendency. And we talked about this before. Remember I told you that I used to call this a Mother Teresa complex, that you want to spoon feed everyone when they don't need it, But now that I'm more self-conscious about it, and it's a mindset, you have to start thinking along those lines. I'm letting go more, because what you said for me makes a lot of sense too. That it should be more, especially in a setting like this. Not so much in our classroom, because it's a totally different ball game. But in a scenario like here, I still struggle with that.
Yeah. It takes time. That's why we're
That's
working
why we're
on it.
training.
Exactly.
I
Alright.
just can't get that out of my mind, thinking, I don't want him to feel that I fail, or that I'm letting him, or that I'm neglecting the person,
That you don't care. Yeah.
Anyway.
It's caring in a different way. Okay. Well, thank you very much. That was
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
helpful.